If someone asked me to choose my 5 favorite things that I found at estate sales, the flea market, auctions, what would I pick? It would be a really hard decision. I guess if someone asked me at gunpoint to do it and I had to come up with 5 favorite things, why would someone do that at gunpoint? It's like a flea market terrorist, like a madman from the Sotheby's breaks into people's homes and makes them say their 5 favorite things. It's a really dumb premise, isn't it? I think it's because if I add that I have to select these things at gunpoint, then I'm not hurting the feelings of the things that I didn't select, and the inanimate objects. It's like a Sophie's Choice, kind of. That's a really bad reference. Anyway, number 1, for sure, on my list would be this church bulletin board that I got. It's up above me. I found that at the Randolph Street Flea Market, and it was the community board for a church. So I have kept my kids' artwork in there. My kids' portraits were in there when Mary Ann Gilbright's Home Companion came out and shot my home. So it was wonderful having those so prominently displayed in the magazine forever. Now I have them with my work in them. I put my bug collages, their drawings and collages of bugs in there. And a neighbor of mine, his mother had saved all of the letters that she had received, and her parents had saved all of the letters that she had sent to them. And so I have these letters now that are 100 years old, and so that's what I put as the background for all of the artwork. So it's his mother's letters, and they're so wonderful. The handwriting is beautiful, and the patina on the paper is so beautiful. So it's a true treasure. He didn't know what to do with them, and there were a lot of them, so I've been able to incorporate them into my artwork. This Ferris wheel is my 2nd favorite find of all time. I think it's my 2nd favorite. I don't know. It's hard to decide. There's some parts that just need to be tightened up, and believe it or not, I don't have erector set parts laying around, and so I'm going to see if I can get it working. It actually has a motor, and it will go. That I know beyond my skill set, but I can at least tighten up some things, because when you push this around, the cars spin, which, if Ferris wheels actually worked like that, they wouldn't be very popular, because you could only go on it once, because you'd be killed if you rode a Ferris wheel and then had to go flying out head first, revolutions. But anyway, this Ferris wheel erector set, I believe, is from 1959. So it's 65 years old. It is kind of beaten up, but considering it's a child's toy that's 65 years old, it's pretty incredible. I mean, probably the kid who played with this, how old would they be? 80? They're really old, the kid who played with this. Anyway, I love it because I think it's very industrial and sculptural. It doesn't really have to work. But I am waiting for another, it's a partial set to come from eBay. It's coming in this big metal erector set box, and it's got cute graphics on it. So I'm going to see what bits and pieces I can use, and maybe I'll make like the Frankenstein of Ferris wheels. It's like 2 dead partial Ferris wheel sets coming together to form one magnificent Ferris wheel. Okay. On to 3. Number 3 on my list of favorite things would be this bird aviary or bird cage. It's made out of chicken wire, and I got that from a store that's now closed that used to be in Deerfield, Illinois, called Romancing the Home. And I used to keep votive candles in there. When we were having a dinner party, it would just be all aglow. It was beautiful. So right now, I've got it full of plants, mostly orchids. This window is great for growing plants. This serves as a curtain, but yet lets light come in. So I love that. Cool, huh? So this is number 3 on my top 5 favorite list. This is a 12-foot long antique Swedish blanket chest. It has the original paint on it, and I got it from the Chicago Botanic Garden Antique Show. It was on the last day of the show, and the vendor simply did not want to move back a 12-foot long chest. So he gave me an incredible deal on it. The antique fair, if you ever go, it's just full of inspiration. You have vendors coming in from France and England, but the prices are insane. So it's, a rusty garden chair and it's $2,000. This was like garage sale price. They wanted it out. They did not want to move that back. That's my advice. Go on the last day and look for the biggest thing you can find and buy it, because they don't want to move it back. So they have to work in, well, how much is it going to be to ship it back? Is it worth it? I'm just going to sell it to this bozo here. Okay. My fourth favorite thing I just bought last week. I was shopping with my friend Natalie, and I came across this wooden hat form. It's like a derby hat or a bowler hat, not really sure. It's on a heavy wrought iron base. I love it. It weighs 1,000,000 pounds. So this hat wouldn't even fit my big head. This is not going to be part of the top 5 list, but this little hat reminds me of my head size. I lived in China and I was getting a head and neck massage, and the person who was massaging my head was talking to the person next to her who was massaging someone else. And they were talking in Mandarin. And she's, working on my head. And she and the other woman are having a lively conversation. And they start to laugh. And the other one gestures to a bottle, a big container of water for their water cooler, and is gesturing the water bottle to my head, basically saying that my head is the same size as a water cooler bottle. I completely understood what they were saying. I have a giant head. I get it. Okay, my fifth favorite thing I found thrifting would be this arch that went over a very stately home's front door. I went to a demolition sale. I saw there were signs on the street for a demolition sale. Didn't know what that meant, but it sounded good. So I went there, and you would walk with the person from the demolition company and you would bid on things. So when you're in the kitchen, you might be bidding on kitchen cabinets, the flooring, faucets, lighting, everything, because they're going to be tearing down the house. So I bid on the front doorway arch. No one else wanted it. And I didn't know you needed tools. Like, you have to do it all. Like, there were people prying up floorboards. So I had to race back home and get a crowbar because I was completely ill prepared. So we were able to pry it off of the house, and it's usually been over the bed. At one point I did have it over a fireplace, and it looks really cool. And I had the two pieces separated, and I used to collect little bride and grooms, like vintage bride and grooms from the 1940s, chalkware cake toppers. And so that's usually where I kept the collection. It created like its own mantle by separating those two pieces apart, and looked cool. But now it's over my bed. I am the person who hung it most recently here where I live. And then about 2 months ago, I heard the most god-awful sound, and then the next thing I know, it hit me on the head. So one would think like, oh, Linda, you put it up correctly this time. Nope. So I've pulled my bed a bit away further from the wall just in case it happens again. And it will go hopefully between the bed and my head and land on the floor. Anyway, so if you don't know about demolition sales, this house was a very stately manor. It was on the North Shore of Chicago, probably some titan of industry, and a builder had purchased the property, was tearing it down to put up like a cajillion McMansions, you know, and at that point the style was like everyone had to have a turret for some reason. And so these god-awful little castles all went up and the house was torn down. So I have a little piece of the house, kind of cool. My name's Linda. Thank you for watching. Join me again as I delve into the world of collecting, thrifting, and fun.